going to sing a little song to start off.
Okay.
A Sonny and Cher number. No, I'm just joking.
Dude, we should have done that.
I know. It's not too late. I wanted to sort of couch this conversation with this idea that I had. So growing up, I thought that there were sort of two chapters in our lives, childhood and adulthood. But now, at my age, I realize that you're continuously changing, and there's certain things that remain the same, and there's things that change. And so I thought we could go through different chapters of your life and hear a bit about what's remained the same and what's changed.
Okay.
And we might start.
Oh, no. Oh my God.
No, so you grew up here.
Was that a high school picture?
High school senior picture. I love this shirt, by the way. You can't really see it in this.
It's a spree. Yeah, I
Oh,
was
a
like
spree.
really into a spree.
Can you speak a little bit about like what kind of kid you were? Like, were you artsy? Did you draw? Like, did you seek approval? Were you fearless? Like, just who were you as a kid?
Okay, yeah, I grew up here. I was like really shy. I didn't talk. Everyone called me vegetable. I was like always into art. I always drew in my room and made art in my bedroom and did my own thing. And then, so yeah, I was kind of like a loner. I didn't talk till I moved to New York, really. I never talked. So that's kind of how I was. Totally shy, the opposite of Khalifa. Khalifa's outgoing, funny, fun, totally popular. I was the opposite. So I was always like collecting things or like really into one thing. That has followed through and stayed the same. Yeah, like I was always like, I'd get into something like a lot.
So when you graduated, you went to SAIC, School of Art Institute of Chicago.
Yeah.
So how did that decision come about? Like, you knew you wanted to go to art school, or yeah?
So yeah, I was like doing art in high school, and then there was like a portfolio day. So they came I think they came to WashU. A bunch of different art schools came to WashU. So I brought my portfolio, and they looked at it, and I got in.
And did you have any ideas of what you were hoping for to get out of?
Oh yeah, because she criticized something, and I was like, "Fuck her," and I threw the paper away.
This is Catherine's father. What was your experience like?
Art Institute of Chicago was kind of like, do whatever you want. So no rules, no direction, nothing, like no information. So I went to the International School of Art in Italy in Monte Castello, and that's like where I learned how to paint from teachers who actually wanted to tell you how to paint or how to mix a color or perspective or anything about painting. So that's where I actually learned about painting. So I went there and like learned how to mix paint and stuff and about perspective, and then went back to Art Institute, and I was in like the advanced painting programs. Like we had our own studios and stuff. It was cool.
Did you paint E.T.?
Yeah.
So yeah, what was your work like?
So it would be like, it was more like one object. So it would be like one E.T. or like one shoe, or like one, like my thesis show was like 5 paintings. It was like a vacuum sweeper, a shoe, an E.T., what else was in it? Like, and like 2 other things. So it was like things kind of.
Were they from, like, were you looking at things, or were you?
Yeah, it was from life.
From life.
Yeah.
And so you were depicting like visual, like it wasn't like the idea of it, it was actually your visual experience with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Painting from life, yeah.
Painting from life.
Yeah.
And did you kind of fall in love with paint in Italy?
No, I always loved before that.
Okay. So you painted in high school
Yeah.
too?
In high school I used like watercolors, and then I tried oil paint. I didn't like it. But it was mostly I was painting on watercolors.
So was it an easy decision to go to grad school?
I guess, yeah, because I had no other plans. There's nothing else to do.
I mean, did you have ambition to be a professional artist or anything like that? Did you have any idea?
I guess.
You guess?
Yeah.
And so, did you want to go to New York specifically?
I guess, yeah.
Had you been there much? Or
No, I'd never really been there.
No.
I didn't know that there was like a contemporary art world. I didn't know. I thought art was like Claude Monet, and that it like ended there.
So, and
Even in undergraduate, like I didn't know that there was like contemporary art.
right.
Like I remember a friend showing me a book on Mary Heilman, and I was like, wow.
There's a whole nother.
Yeah.
It's a living thing.
Yeah.
Did you apply to lots of schools or just New York schools?
And I applied to like California, Fullerton, and SVA.
And was it New York specifically that made you want to go there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I found out first that I got into Fullerton. I was all excited to go there, but then I found out I got into SVA, and I was like, I'm going to New York.
Yeah. And so, what was that like? Did you immediately make friends with the people? Were the teachers better than SAIC?
Yeah, the teachers are way better.
Mm-hmm.
The school was like in Chelsea, like the actual school and our studios and stuff. So we were right near the whole gallery scene, and all the teachers are like active artists, and it was just a way better vibe. Like I started talking.
You started talking?
Yeah, I started talking there.
And seeing a lot of work?
Yeah, just like going to shows constantly.
Yeah.
Seeing tons of art. Yeah, meeting everyone.
So this is you, I think, in like 2002. So you were in grad school. When were you in grad school? Like till 2000, I think?
Yeah, 98 to 2000.
And so you were talking. And so, Katherine, how did you go from that to like in only a couple years you were in like 13 group shows and like in shows in Europe? So you were with us, you were in like 2 solo shows at Team Gallery and Kenny Schachter.
Right.
How did that happen?
So I was at SVA and I knew Michael St. John, and he's like a painter who showed at Team. And he was like in the art world basically. Oh, because I went and I did a summer program at NYU with Michael St. John.
Oh.
You know him?
Mm-mm.
He's a painter. So I met Michael St. John and he was showing at Team, and he was like, why don't you go do an internship over at Team? I was like, okay. And then, so I did that, and then
What was the intern? Just working at the
I
gallery?
was just like sitting there like looking at Art Forum.
not bad.
And then he had me like paint a spot on the wall once.
As art?
He told me to go cash a check once too. So basically like nothing.
So you basically understood how the art
It was
world
basically
worked.
just like sitting in there doing, just like seeing people come in.
But so he introduced you, and then that was.
Oh yeah, so one day I decided to send slides to him. I was like, let me just like send slides to Jose Freire and see what happens. Oh, but Lisa Reuter worked there too, and she always liked my work. So they would come through like open studios at SVA, and they had been coming through for like 2 years, and I had met them and stuff.
Okay.
So I sent them slides, and then they were like, I had an answering machine. They called my answering machine, and they were like, oh, we'd like to do a group show with you or something after you graduate. And I was like, oh, awesome. And then as soon as I graduate, they were like, just kidding, it's a solo show.
No way.
Yeah, so that was awesome. So they took my work directly from SVA to Team Gallery.
Was it? I don't know if this was the Schachter show or is this work?
Yeah, that was in Schachter's
Schachter show.
place. Yeah.
Is this the work kind of like you had at Team?
Well, that was kind of like a specific
This thing.
way I was painting for a little bit. All these dots.
What did you get out of showing? Did you like showing? Were you selling? Like, what was it about? Like, as an introverted person, were you going to these openings? You were meeting people. Did you enjoy any of that?
Oh yeah, I love doing that. Team Gallery was like a really good gallery then. Like, I won't be negative, so I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking, but I left Team Gallery and moved to Canada. And that was an awesome move and like way more nice.
I didn't realize it was founded by artists, and
Yeah.
And so was it like a collective?
Yeah, it's kind of like a collective. They were like in Leo Koning's basement for a while on Broadway. Then it was like 9/11, so they moved to Chinatown.
Wow.
And then, so I started showing with them in Chinatown, and then I'm still with them.
Yeah.
I've been with them like a long time.
So were you friends with them before they formed the gallery? Or?
No, so my friend Brendan Cass, who's a painter, was showing there. And I had left team. And I didn't have any gallery or anything, so I was just like, okay. And Brendan was like, why don't you come to Canada and come see the space?
Why is it called Canada?
They never answer that question. I don't
Okay.
know. But Phil
I
is...
love when you say, I went to Canada. I love that, you know, it's so good.
Phil's from Canada, though.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe it has something to do with that. Wait, what was the point?
Oh, so how you came to Canada? You were friends
Oh, yeah. So Brendan Cass took me over there and I met them and I was like, wow, these people are nice.
And that's a big part of the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I'd never really met a nice dealer before.
In terms of these paintings, so you had been making this work for a while before you showed this work, or it was kind of it just came about?
Well, team I showed like all kinds of stuff. And then, yeah, I did supermodels. I painted supermodels for like 10 years. Then I painted like swatch watches, then I painted like Moroccan rugs, then I painted houses, then I painted pattern paintings.
So in terms of this show, you know, so you chose the same size canvas, like you work in series, and were you painting these on the floor, or were you painting these on the wall, or both?
Those model paintings I paint upright.
Upright,
Yeah.
and that's with the drips.
Yeah.
And so you were just obsessed, like, with models and brands and things like that.
Yeah.
And you know, you talked about painting from life. So you're painting from photographs?
Yeah, so these paintings were painting from like magazine pictures that I would like pull out of magazines.
How did this show do?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I guess fine.
And so your
I was
next,
always lucky though. Like I always got reviews, and like Jerry Seltz always reviewed my stuff,
Yeah.
and like Roberta.
your next show there, 2010, so 2 years later.
Okay.
So had you started to travel at this point?
Oh yeah, I'd always been traveling.
Had you been to Morocco yet?
Yeah.
You know, this is a big move to go from figures to patterns. And it was your idea to paint the walls and everything in this show?
Oh yeah, so that was like totally immersive. Like it was painted like Moroccan house, and then like Moroccan rug paintings based on actual rugs, and then those are like Yves Saint Laurent paintings of models. And Yves Saint Laurent lived in Marrakesh for a while and has like a huge history in Marrakesh and Morocco. So it all kind of went together.
But so the model paintings, even though that they are people, you have a lot of line work and patterns in the
True.
walls.
Yeah, so I started collecting like Moroccan rugs and stuff, and like going to Morocco a lot because my friend was in the Peace Corps there. She was actually weaving there with weavers, so I was like hanging out with her a lot.
So one thing that I'm struck by in terms of this journey here is that you keep wanting to make your world bigger, I think. And so, you know, having grown up here as well, I feel like we came from a very specific place. Everyone does, and I didn't know anything when I went to art school. I just knew Monet and things like that. And so you keep entering these larger arenas and growing in there, I would say. And then travel is another aspect of that. Is that what I think travel is like the best education. Do you agree?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Oh yeah, that was like during my show. We brought in tons of Moroccan rugs, and there's like hookah. It was like a hangout.
I could see that happening here. It's not too far. So this was another show at that same time, but at Hole.
Yeah.
Were you friends with Kathy Grayson?
Yeah.
I mean, this is quite dramatic of a shift. So
I started painting like that because there's no fumes, because Khalifa was just born.
oh, okay.
No
Welcome,
paint.
Khalifa.
And I made those paintings with his dad. So those are collaborative paintings.
And it's not paint. It was fabric.
The rugs?
No, these paintings.
Oh yeah, so that's all like cut out fabric and fabrics I found in the neighborhood and things that I found, or magazines cut out too, all made in a collage, kind of looking like rug designs too.
And that was like a Christmas show or something. Like holiday shows.
Yeah, that got like a Roberta Smith review.
Was that your first Roberta Smith review?
No.
Oh. Had you met her much?
Yeah, I mean she's out. She's out with Jerry everywhere.
Yeah. So Khalifa's grown up with your work.
Yeah.
So can you talk about like how was having a kid? Like how was that in terms of your practice? Like it was seamless because he was always here, or like how did it change your practice?
Well, yeah, for a while I didn't use paint or spray paint because I was like, that's totally toxic. And then as he got bigger and stuff, I went back to painting. But yeah, he's always been around. He would paint with me. He'd always be in the studio with me. He goes everywhere with me. He goes like every art fair. He goes to all my shows. So he knows about everything in the art world too.
Is there any part of you that wants to be in the art world, Khalifa? Or? How did you deal with criticism? Like, do you care about it? Do you like praise? Does negative comments bother you, or does it not faze you? Does it make you angry? Like, can you talk about that?
Sure. Yes, I like praise.
And from anybody or
negative? I only got good reviews. Like I never got a negative review.
Wow.
Except like when I joined David Zwirner, there was a little backlash from like jealous people, but it went away kind of. Like I've never really had negativity.
Wow. And did you have a community of art friends at this time, like in New York? Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is called Stupid, Crazy, Funny, Ridiculous Patterns. So, could you talk about language?
Like how I titled that and stuff,
Yeah.
or like the titles of paintings. It's usually like, well, the pattern paintings are titled after like what's in them. So that would be like cassette tapes, tagine, and fire, or like coffee, pizza, and cigarettes, or that other. Wait, if you go back, that one painting is called Going to Puerto Rico. So it's like airplanes, music, speakers, and tostones.
I love that you look at this and you smile. Like these still make you happy. Don't they?
Yeah.
And that's like the paint here is a little looser and a little. You're still painting up, right? Vertical.
No, so I only painted the model paintings upright. Then the pattern paintings I paint, well, I'll like draw it out first upright, and then I paint on the floor because I use lots of water in my paint so that it's able to like puddle and like move around and do its own thing.
I really like that idea of creating a system, you know, like a visual system in your painting that you can't make a mistake.
Right, you can't mess it up, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the paintings I feel like are so strong, like if I mess it up or if they get hit or if someone steps on it or Khalifa would like punch it or paint on it, like you can't ruin it.
But were you talking also about like you know, paint running or paint dripping or the whole thing?
But also the drips in the water, like I like how it like does its own thing. It creates its own, it does what it wants to do.
How did the Pink Panther come about?
Khalifa told me to paint the Pink Panther. Kidding. It was a way to like go back and like paint a figure painting, not a human.
Yeah. So it seemed like the characters allow you to do that. They're figurative, but they're not human, and so they're closer to patterns and right symbol than people. You know, so you are looking at source images, but then the Pink Panther has just become a character that you put in all situations,
Right.
like different situations. But
Yeah, those are more like panther pattern paintings. So you can like put a figure and then put like things in it too.
this is Lever House, so you have got the opportunity to create an installation for Lever House.
Yeah.
Did you have a model of this space, or did you just go to this space? Like, how did you conceive of what you wanted to do in this space?
Yeah, so for this space, I did not have a model. We just like went there a bunch of times and like saw it and stuff.
When you got this opportunity, are you nervous at all?
No, I see it more as an exciting and an awesome opportunity, and I can't wait to like make the paintings.
Like mentally, when you first find out you're going to do this, do you come up with lots of different ideas, and like, do you struggle at all with coming up with the idea, or you just start making things?
Just start making stuff.
And did some things not make it? Like, did during that process point you towards more of this tropical terrarium idea?
Those paintings are so huge, so those are like very specific to that space. So I think I just like went for it.
Is it easy for you to handle like these increasing opportunities, success, things like that?
Yeah, I like the pressure of like tons of work.
Mm-hmm. Like you like kind of the feeling of just tumbling, like, you know, walking so fast you might fall if you stop. Like you're just always making things.
Yeah.
So.
And I kind of work like that anyway. Like I'm like always making tons of paintings. Like I'm just like, that's like what I do.
While you're making all this work for all these shows, you're also working on these building projects, which I've done a little of, and that's very time consuming. Like, so just being busy on things like this help the painting, or is it hard? Like, does one feed the other?
I mean, I just like doing it.
So
I like doing lots of things at the same time.
So compared to, you know, how you grew up, did you always have an idea of wanting to make something like that, or was it just presented itself?
No, I never thought I'd live in that house. I never been in that house before.
But
I'd always seen that house and loved it and like thought it was amazing. And then it was like available. So I got it. And then it was like, what furniture are you gonna put in that house? The only thing you can really put in there is 80s furniture.
You saw that boxing ring a number of years ago. I was only partially familiar with the Memphis group, but I didn't realize that Ettore designed the Esprit stores.
Yeah. I recently learned that too. That's amazing.
So you came back in 2020 and you had this show done with Xanax in Canada. And did you make this work here during the pandemic?
Oh yeah, I made that outside in the patio at my dad's house.
So in terms of moving back to St. Louis, was that just a pandemic thing, or were you already?
No, I had already planned on moving back here, but it just happened to hit the week before they shut down New York.
It's good timing.
Yeah.
And in a way, like moving back here made your world a bit bigger too, in terms of space and opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
So was it a hard decision for you to move back, or was it?
No, I was like ready to leave New York.
Mm-hmm. And so ET makes a return?
Yeah. So I painted ET in undergraduate. I painted ET for Team Gallery. I painted ET. Well, then I didn't paint ET for like 15 years, and then I decided to bring it back.
So then the Zwirner thing happened. You told me a story a bit about how it happened, but would you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm still with Canada Gallery. Canada was at, what's the fair called? The fair near that hideous sculpture in Chelsea. What is that fair? There's some other fair over there. So anyway, Canada had my like Bart Simpson paintings in there and some other paintings. Well, even going back further, Zwirner had been a collector of my artwork and always liked my artwork. So we kind of knew that. Then, like a year or two later, we were like, how can we get Zwirner's attention? Like, what is this? And then we didn't know what to do. And then it kind of all went down at that fair when Jerry Saltz, Roberta, Dana Schutz, and Canada and Zwirner were all in the booth together. And they all agreed that they liked my painting. And then Zwirner bought the painting. And then Phil, it was like I wasn't living in New York anymore. So Phil at Canada was like, you should have a meeting with her. She's leaving tomorrow. So there was like pressure of time. So then I went to his office like the next day. And he was like, oh, do you want to do a show in London? And I was like, not really, I hate London. And then I was like, what about New York? And he was like, oh, I didn't know. I was like, yeah. So then it kind of went down from there, and then I joined. It was pretty fast, and it was awesome. Then he like flew out here. I couldn't believe that he came to St. Louis. It was like surreal. It was surreal. He came to the house, like I couldn't believe it.
So how do you jive, like, you know, so you were excited.
Yeah.
How do you jive being excited with when he says London and you go, London? I don't want to show in London.
Well, maybe I didn't say it that harsh. I was just like, well, okay. But like, what about New York?
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was just the truth, right?
Yeah.
I see. So you've been with Zwirner since 2022, maybe? Mm-hmm. And in May, they had a 30th anniversary. And I saw these pictures on Instagram, and I was just curious what that was like to find yourself with all of these artists in this situation.
So he flew everyone out there. He put everyone in the Sunset Tower Hotel. There was like an itinerary for the whole weekend for like 4 days. We did everything together. But more importantly, like Dana Schutz had joined Zwirner. And then, well, Josh Smith was already there. Josh Smith was there. Dana joined, then I joined, then Uma Baba joined. So it's like all my friends that I've been showing with. Oh. So now we're all back together. So then Joe Bradley joined.
So you were friends with them already?
Yeah.
Nice. So it was comfortable for you?
Yeah, it's awesome.
This was your last show at Canada. Mm-hmm. So just to end, what I'm so struck by is just painting is wonderful in itself. And when you operate in this arena of painting, you can do anything in the arena of painting.
My idea was more like, I can paint the primary colors, red, yellow, blue. And I think that was influenced by renovating that house, because that house was like primary colors. And like Corbusier, and like looking at primary colors, and I was like, now I can make a painting that's just like red, yellow, and blue. It's minimal, like that painting, for example.
Yeah.
But I also always think about the stain painters also.
The same paintings?
Yeah, like Frankenthaler and
okay.
Like those guys. Morris Lewis, like I love him.
Oh, okay. There's so many things to talk about, but color. So you think ahead of time of palettes for paintings or color combinations or shows? Do you think of palettes for shows?
Not really.
Not really.
I mean, kind of. I'm doing this big installation for Miami coming up, and the theme is the pink house in Miami. Oh. Have you seen that house? Mm-mm. It's neat. It's like 80s, it's pink, it's all glass brick, it's awesome.
Wow.
So that's what they told me the inspiration was for my paintings. So I've been like thinking about pink. So I'm trying to make everything pink.
Is it at the house? The show's at the house, or just inspired by?
Yeah, inspired. There'll be like a dinner there or whatever,
okay.
But someone lives there now. So it's going to be in the design district, but it's a collaboration with Memphis Milano.
Oh wow!
So we're making rugs together. It's going to be like a whole show in the design district during Basel, Miami.
That sounds good.
We got to go to the factory this summer in Italy.
In Milan.
Yeah, outside of Milan in Alba.
So they still make a lot of the pieces that you have.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Like boxing ring? Is that?
Yeah, they make that still.
Do you have a show scheduled in New York at Zwirner?
No, the next one's LA.
Oh, when's that?
April.
So what things, like the living edge of your work, like are there things that are starting to appear that you could tell us about? Like, are those the things that you're most excited about now?
Oh, like new stuff that I'm painting?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm always trying to find new things to paint, or like I always try to paint things that are like obvious, or like everyday objects, or like what am I overlooking, or like what is like so obvious that I'm forgetting. So butter, that's my latest.
Butter?
Yeah, butter. Sticks of butter.
Can you name some other things?
Cookie Monster.
Oh yeah.
Cookie Monster is good because he's shoving things in his mouth. So it's been a return to crazy monster paintings with pattern paintings within his mouth. So that's kind of like what I'm working on too right now.
And I love that each painting begets another painting, and it gives you another idea. And
right. Yeah, that's like how I work. I just work like spontaneous. I just like go for it. I'll make one. While I'm making one, I'll be like, oh no, I have an idea for another one. So then I'll just make that one too. Like I don't not make. The other day though, I was like making this painting. I was like, oh no. I have a better idea. So I finished that one anyway. It was kind of a whatever painting, and then I made the other one. It was way better. But that's kind of how I work. Like I have to like get back into it. I just like make tons of work, so then I can like edit which ones are better than other ones.
Mm-hmm. Is it true that you saw in Italy, like, is it a depiction of hell or something where is it Saturn eating his kids or something like that?
Oh yeah, there's a painting in Bologna in the cathedral. What's it called?
It's a depiction of hell. Yeah.
It's hell.
Medieval hell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, medieval hell painting of a gigantic monster eating, devouring, like shitting out people. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I always think about that painting.
Did that give you the idea for Cookie Monster?
Kind of.
Oh. All right, Katherine. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.